The push-up. Simplified. Step 1. Put your hands on the ground shoulder width apart. Step 2. Imagine a middle-aged man standing behind you, demanding that you do push-ups in order to pass the national fitness test. Step 3. Do a bunch of push-ups and hoping that you won't embarrass yourself in front of the entire gym class. The push-up. Slightly less simplified. Pre-requisites. The push-up is an introductory pushing calisthenics movement and doesn't have a high strength demand before starting with progressions, but please make sure that you don't have any injuries and you've been approved to work out with a doctor. You may also want to consider doing some weight exercises beforehand, such as bench press or floor press with some light weights, just to get used to doing strength training. Technique. There are a bunch of different push-up variations, but I'm going to give you the technique for a traditional push-up. You can then tweak this as you want to go into different variations or based on your certain comfortability needs. First, place your hands on the ground about shoulder width apart, directly underneath your shoulders. You will then keep your arms straight and move your feet back to the point where your body is in a straight line from your legs up to your head. From there, you can then begin to lower yourself down to the ground. I recommend at this point you keep your elbows tucked in and not flaring out in order to protect your shoulders. Once you get to the bottom, you should be making sure that your body has maintained a straight position the entire way down. You can do this by engaging your core muscles. Unlike bench press or other type of weighted exercise, you also need to be maintaining a strong core while also doing your pushing movement. At that point, you are then going to push the ground out to then elevate your body up, maintaining that straight posture in order to complete the rep. You will then have your arms locked out at the top. You can then rinse and repeat by doing reps over and over again. Progressions. The push-up is a very versatile movement with a bunch of different levers you can pull to make the movement easier or harder. If you're struggling to get your first push-up and want to make the movement easier, there are two different ways you can do this. First would be by going onto your knees. This is reducing the amount of weight you are having to push up. And the other would be based on the actual lever that you're pushing against. Example here would be pushing against a wall or pushing up on an object that's a little bit higher from the ground. This is reducing the amount of gravity that is forcing your body down, therefore making the movement easier. You can also combine them too by having yourself on the knees and pushing against an elevated object. The goal here would be to get a certain amount of reps and then slowly build that number up over time, getting used to having your core strong and in charge, and eventually you will then be able to do the regular push-up. Once you've mastered the push-up and are trying to find ways to make it more challenging, there are 3 different ways you can usually do so. The first would be to increase the range of motion. You can think of this by putting your hands on books or parallettes to make it have a longer stretch when you're doing a regular push-up. The second would be to change where your hands are positioned. If you move them farther down, you will then increase the amount of demand onto your shoulders to be able to actually complete a actual push-up. You could also move your hands out wider to do a wider grip push-up, which might be a new demand on your chest as well. The third would be to elevate your feet. This would either be by doing decline push-ups or even advancing into something such as a handstand push-up, although this will put more stress on the shoulders and less onto your chest. Programming. The push-up is a compound movement, and I highly recommend training it 2 to 3 days a week while you are still trying to learn it. You can either have a dedicated push day or combine it with pulling movements for a total upper body day. For the actual day itself, I highly recommend having your hardest push-up progression at the beginning of the workout and then going into easier progressions and your weight training at the end to supplement this. So this could look like doing your knee push-ups at the beginning for anywhere from 3 to 6 sets, trying to get as many reps as possible, and then moving into something like wall push-ups for another 3 to 6 sets, and then going in and doing things like chest press and shoulder press afterwards. If you're doing a total upper body day, you could then alternate between doing one of your push-up progressions into a pulling movement, such as a TRX row, and then going back to a push-up progression. You could also alternate between each set, so doing one set of a push-up variation into one set of TRX rows, and then back to push-ups and so forth. Find what works best for you, keep it fun, keep it interesting, and you will still progress. Because the push up is a compound movement, I highly recommend taking a good amount of rest in between your sets. I would recommend anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, depending on how hard you're training. You want to be able to go into each set fresh enough where you're able to get in quality reps and training so that way your body can make the adaptations for when you want to go for a regular push up. But don't feel like you have to take so much time that you're sitting around doing nothing and not getting a good workout. Find what works best for you and make the best decision. The push up is a foundational movement when it comes to building fitness programs, and you'll be very glad that you put in the effort to do so. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like the video if you did enjoy the content. And make sure to comment down below what your push up journey has been or any advice that you have for others who might be still learning it. Have a good one, everyone. Let's go get those push ups.